Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Golfing Dads. I mean, I haven't seen a more exciting week of information that we have to talk about in a long
I,
time.
you
In our
know,
4 years of doing this.
there were points that I was going to text you and say, "Do we need to go live like right now on
Oh,
Insta or TikTok?"
100%.
Like
There were
there was
times,
so much going on that and I want to preface this, Greg. For those of you watching tonight, that you're used to our show being about 59 minutes and 10 seconds, we may go long.
yeah, this is one where even during the US Open, there was stuff where I'm like, we should go live. Then
Right,
today, when we're at work and we can't go live, there was a
right.
lot that I was like, there's so much to
Like,
talk
would
about
it
here.
save us on our show tonight? But if we go long tonight, and Dave is having technical difficulties. So for those of
Surprise,
you
surprise.
scoring at home or by yourself, yes, that's a Sports Center line.
All right, so let's go right into it and let's talk the US Open first. And
Okay.
congratulations to my pick. Yes, I'm going to say that. My pick going wire to wire, Mr. Wyndham Clark on his
No,
win.
awesome for Wyndham. I think that did he get the better side of the wind draw? Yes. Um, did that help him? Maybe. But you know what he didn't do?
Break a
And it
locker.
was that we'll start with that. It's what happened at 16 to me was a culmination of his entire week. Was he got out of position on 16 off the tee on Sunday, gave himself a lie that, Greg, I don't know that too many people. I doubt you and I could have advanced it that far. I know Dave couldn't have. To hit the shot, the recovery shot that he did, and then make birdie off of it, like that to
Yeah.
me was the culmination of his whole week. And I will give him a lot of credit. And you know, one of the things I have written down that I wrote down on Sunday night, and this is a two-part question, and I really want Dave to be on here to answer the second part. So I'm
Okay.
kind of disappointed. The first question I have for you, and things that happened on Saturday because they started late and didn't finish until almost 8:30, the stands were empty.
Yeah.
First question, was that because of the finishing group or was that because it was 8:30 on Long Island?
I don't think it's because of the finishing group. I think it's because it's 8:30 on Long Island and people trying to get back to hotels and things like that, or get back to if they lived in the city or if they lived in New
Mhm.
Jersey. Trying to get back is a nightmare. And if it's that late, you're going to be stuck in traffic getting out of there.
Mhm.
There's not a lot of
Sure.
roads that'll get you out from where Shinnecock is,
Yep.
and it is just a nightmare of traffic out there, and if that's known very well. So they
If
would
Scotty was in the final group, would
okay
Scotty have gotten the same?
go back and
Would
forth.
the stands,
I'll be right back.
knowing that Scotty had a chance to win the Grand Slam, would Scotty have had a chance to?
I'll be right
Um,
back.
yeah, you're good. So Wyndham goes on, holds the lead for 4 days, takes the lead at 7 o'clock on Thursday night, holds the lead for 4 straight days. Kind of stumbles a bit coming in, but held it on enough to win. And I got a lot of hate. Got a lot of hate mail. Like you've got mail, and it wasn't real nice. And there were reports of fans getting thrown out. Nuclear posted about a fan getting thrown out that was a member or a member's guest for yelling "hit it in the bunker" or something like that, something to that effect. I just wonder, and I want to give our buddy Shane O'Golf some credit, talking about shrinking the game, and I don't necessarily agree that the game needs to be shrunk, but I do think that there's some things that need to happen. And if you are removed from a PGA Tour event, I don't think you should be allowed back. I mean, the Jack Doherty treatment for what he did, I feel like needs to become commonplace on the PGA Tour, and they need to start telling fans you're not allowed in anymore. Major League Baseball's been doing it. Why is it tolerable in golf? And I'm waiting for Greg to hop back in here because I want his opinion. on does Wyndham deserve the hate mail? But before we get into that, Scotty was my pick last week. Had a chance to complete the career Grand Slam. Did not embarrass himself. Finished top 5. And I think that when you look at what he did, Scotty Scheffler, and there's a lot of people, Greg, we're going to go back to Wyndham, Greg, because I need your take.
I was listening, yep.
But Scotty Scheffler getting a top 5, if you look at lowest score to par over the first 3 majors, Scotty is on top of the leaderboard.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone's giving him crap that he's having a bad season. And I'm like, I don't know if he's really having a bad season.
He's having a bad season for Scotty. Let's
he doesn't have
that.
He's got 1 win right now.
Yes.
And Scotty and Tiger have done things that a lot of people just can't wrap their head around because they've been so good at winning and they know how to close the door. And now you look at these other guys that are out there. I don't feel bad for Scotty. I felt like Scotty played a great week. He just didn't have it in the end. I felt bad for Sam Burns. I thought Sam Burns played a heck of a week, and especially on Sunday, the round he played on Sunday, trying to come from 7 back. I said going into Sunday that if Wyndham loses, it will go down in history as much as Greg Norman losing the Masters.
Oh, 100%. It would have been that all over again. Because Wyndham built himself up into such a okay, good buddy. Someone's watching the World Cup and excited about it. He's also playing Wii Sports. So, but Wyndham had such a lead. The only time we've seen this before is Greg Norman, so it would have been comparable to that. And the way the field was playing going into Sunday, that the way he held and kept that lead was unbelievable. So what we saw on Sunday, I will almost compare it to kind of how I felt when Rory was going 2 years ago, not this year, but last year for the Masters to go for the Grand Slam. And you were like, he's going to like falter again. And he just hung on.
Yeah. Oh, man, I've been waiting for this moment. Welcome back, Dave. See, is he frozen?
Is he frozen? This is fantastic.
Is he frozen?
Okay, we're gonna remove him for a second until we see him move in the green room. All right, so
I feel like when he freezes, we ought to just start singing.
Did you say "Let It Go"? I'm good.
Yeah. Yes. Hold on.
So,
my webcam decided to shut itself. No, my webcam decided to shut itself off.
All right. Well, then we'll still talk while you're fixing that because we can still hear you.
Yes.
So, with that being said, what I saw this week and with what Wyndham pulled off, like we were talking before I had to step away for a second about the shots that Wyndham pulled off. This putting, he made, I think, more par save putts than I've seen anyone ever make to keep a lead, especially on Saturday.
Especially for a guy that signed a putter deal last week.
Well, yeah, he went to this putter and then he won in Texas. And just like when he won the US Open last time, he went to a new putter. He went to the jailbreak putter and he won with that. And now he's doing the same thing for Ping that he did for Odyssey back in the day. So it was exciting to see with that. But your question that you asked me before I had to step away was about the stands at 8 o'clock and driving away for all of that. It's funny. I talked to people and I feel Wyndham has this aura around him that people just don't like him and they don't know why they don't like him a little bit.
And my question to you is, does he deserve the hate?
I don't think he deserves as much hate as he's getting. I think he deserves the criticism, especially for breaking the locker at Oakmont. I think that was uncalled for. And we've all had your tempers get the best of you, and you just breaking a locker is better than hurting somebody else. So like his frustrations were better used. But I think sometimes people just get that stigma about people, and then you get this aura around you that is, I think, unjust at times. Do I think sometimes Wyndham can be cocky? Wyndham can be arrogant? Yes. And I think that contributes to it as well. But at the end of the day, he's a golfer. And I've said this for a while. We lost a lot of villains to LIV. And someone needed to kind of step into that void, not on purpose. Like, I don't think anyone wants to be in that void as the heel. But I think
Yep.
Wyndham is stepping into that void right now, unintentionally.
So interesting you say that, because he got asked about LIV, because he turned down a pretty lucrative LIV offer, especially having won US Open victory
Yeah.
recently, and said he was more concerned about his career and his reputation than going to LIV. Looking at it now, I mean, great move looking at it now, right?
Oh, yeah.
Does Wyndham falls into a category now with more majors than Fred Couples,
Yep.
as many as Justin Thomas, Bryson DeChambeau, John Rahm, Greg Norman, is, now that he is a two-time major winner, where do you rate him with 5 total PGA Tour victories, 2 of them being majors? Where do you rate him all time?
I don't think you rate him all time yet. I think he's in the middle of his career. I think when you're rating someone all time, they either have to be like a Scotty Scheffler and Tiger Woods, like right now, winning unbelievable amounts.
Yeah.
But I want to see their full career and how I'm going to rate them all time. So I put him as he's one of the best golfers right now. He is one of the best golfers right now. He's playing really well. I think it's unfair to say, like, where is he all time? Because if he starts falling back and not playing well again, that's going to change. So I look at this as right now, he is one of the best golfers. He has 2 majors in the last, 4 years or 3 years?
Yep.
And he's done it on 2 difficult tracks. This is one of the first times that multiple people.
You say that, and again, right. I think this is the second time you had multiple people under par. There's only been.
This is the only time you've had multiple people under par.
No, when Brooks won, somebody was at 200. He was at 400.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
But when you look at the bigger picture and what he's accomplished, I will also say this: the 2 golf courses he has won U.S. Opens on, and I don't want to take away anything from winning a U.S. Open, because going into winning a U.S. Open is a feat in itself. But I think they're the 2 widest fairway golf courses that they play in the U.S. Open, that they've played in the U.S. Open in years. But like LACC, you could land a plane out there, and I mean, these fairways average like 45 yards wide.
But that's the thing about the U.S. Open is they even have wide fairways, but they're missing them. They're hitting in the rough. They're having problems. They have to hit these amazing shots because of how difficult they make the course. So even if it's a wide fairway, it's still, you got to land it there, to be honest. And
so let me ask you this. I know we got onto the fans not being there when they came up 18 late on Saturday. Obviously, there was a bunch that went into fan behavior, and on Sunday there were fans getting kicked out. I want to ask this question, and I was waiting for Dave to get on to ask this question, but obviously, Frozen over there is struggling. So I'm going to ask you this, because we're going to need to keep moving the needle tonight. The last 2 golf tournaments that have taken place on Long Island have kind of been overshadowed by fan behavior. And fan behavior has been a topic between the Ryder Cup last year and now the U.S. Open this year. And I'm not taking this away from the golf courses, but do we need to consider whether or not we need to go back and play any golf tournaments on Long Island?
Yeah, I think you really need to consider. I think the fans need to look at themselves and say, hey, you can be a fan and not root. You can root against somebody, which I think in golf, you don't do that. When we're playing against each other, I'm not rooting against you. When I'm playing against people in a match, I'm not rooting against them. I'm cheering on, telling them great shot, doing that. I think the fans used to be better. We used to be better at, like, hey, let's cheer on everybody that's out there. And yeah, we might cheer on the person that we want to win a little bit more, but we're not going to boo and demoralize the person and heckle the person that we don't want to win. Because when you watched on Sunday and you had Scotty and Wyndham together, it was 2 different decibel levels. Like, they were quiet and like you would yell stupid stuff at Wyndham, and then they would cheer like Scotty was gonna win this thing. And I mean, we all wanted to see the Grand Slam, but that's not what this game's about. That's not what this game should be. I mean, look at the World Cup right now. I'm gonna go to Scotland and Boston and the US and the way, like, we're not rooting for Scotland. I mean, I'm rooting for them when they're not playing the US and I want to see them do well, but I'm not rooting
Yep.
against them. I'm not rooting against other teams. We're coming together. And I think golf needs more of that, what the World Cup is showing right now,
Yep.
where we can be better and cheer on each other's sides. We can give each other a hard time and razz each other and give each other crap, but we need to make sure that we're doing it in a respectful manner. This goes for all sports because this hits the NBA, it hits the NFL. Where the way we treat players, the way we treat these athletes needs to be better. We need to be better at that. So, if at the expense of, hey, this is only happening mostly in golf tournaments on Long Island, then yeah, I think the USGA and the PGA of America need to look at saying, we want to play these courses, but you need to be better.
Right. Like,
Like,
and again, beer was what, $16 a beer out there?
yeah, but that's, I mean, come on, all sporting
That's what you're
events.
gonna pay anywhere. So yeah.
And they're going to get people who are going to a sporting event and want to drink are going to drink. Like, that's not, you can make them $100 a beer and people are going to do it. I mean, that's not really true. But look at what the PGA Championship, that was all inclusive. Like, that was an amazing thing.
Right. Well, beer wasn't included at the USGA, at the PGA.
Well, I know, but they had other stuff that was included with that. Like, it makes it. There's different. I'm talking about the prices and things like that. So,
right. No, that makes sense.
but yeah, I think that the one thing that I took from watching Sunday was, man, I feel bad that people are doing this to Wyndham. Like, I felt bad for Wyndham. I really did, because that's got to be tough. And even Scotty said it. He even like noticed it out there. Like, he was like, some people are going to cheer for others and not. You can't control the crowd on that. And that's fine. I don't like that, but I'm not against that. What I am against is being vulgar, being rude to other players, being rude to other countries, players from other countries out there. Yeah, we're the USA.
Yeah.
We think we're the greatest place in the world. But everyone else thinks they're great too. So we have to be fair and hospitable to everyone that's out there. And I think we should be better at that.
You know who finished third in driving distance last week, Greg?
No, who finished third?
It was Gary Woodland.
Oh, you know why he finished third?
He experienced highly addictive accuracy with Cobra's line of Optum drivers. Designed with optimized MOI, POI, the Optum drivers deliver incredible stability and unmatched accuracy off the tee. Upgrade your game by purchasing an Optum driver today. Learn more at CobraGolf.com.
Got to get yourself some Cobra clubs, man.
I know we mentioned their names, and we're going to get to the news that broke last week after this. Two of the biggest names in golf missed the cut last week. Again.
Ricky Fowler and Dustin Johnson?
No, Dustin made the cut. Remember, at one point he was on the leaderboard and then made a quad. This is painful to watch.
Was.
Bryson and John Rahm missed the cut again. Bryson is now 0 for 3 this year. As our friend Bradley texted me, I think he's going for the trunk slam this year. So the two best LIV finishers were Joaquin Niemann, who made an 11 with a 2-stroke penalty for throwing a club, and Tyrrell Hatton, who I think if you put the over-under, I think you take him to take the over on curse words for the week.
Yeah, but Tyrrell Hatton speaks curse words like he's from New Jersey, like I speak curse words. So,
right, and he's amazing at it. Honestly, it'll be nice to have him back in the PGA Tour next year when LIV folds.
He's one of the people I'm waiting to come back. So
right. So, first question, let's go John and Bryson. Missing the cut. No news, big news.
No news, because honestly, we talked about this in the leading up the preview for the US Open, that if there was news, if they were up there would be something, but I think there's too much pressure on those two, especially being the faces of LIV right now, that it's crushing them. This is why they're not playing well. I think, and you and I talked about this, I think Bryson's not playing well because he's not focused on golf. He's focused on YouTube. He wants to be a golfer. He is a golfer. He's a great player, but he's not focusing on his game. I'm sorry. When you're focusing on your YouTube channel, like when the stuff that I was
I
watching.
also think he's focusing too much on these sales pitches that they're trying to do for
Well,
LIV right now to try
that's
and
the
make
other
it
half
survive.
that I'm getting to. That's
Yeah.
what I'm getting to with him and Rahm is their focus now on this is going to fold. What can we do? Rahm saying he's leaving it up to business people. Bryson, like to your point, is saying that, hey, I'm trying to help with these business deals. So you got
Mhm.
all that going on. You're not going to play good golf. So even if it wasn't just his YouTube channel that I think is the reason, this added on top of that, I did not expect him to make the cut. And I don't expect him to make the cut
No.
at the Open either. Like, that's
Nope.
the other problem. So
Joaquin's 11 included a
I know we'll get it
two-stroke
finished.
penalty for hatchet throwing a club, helicopter throwing a club. John Rahm was seen on video doing an advertisement with his driver for the World Cup.
Good. I was hoping you were going to go that route with it because that's exactly what it was. He was just practicing. He was trying out for.
You can't not.
He's trying out for the Spain team because
Yes.
Liv's not working out. He's going back to soccer.
Right. First off, the penalty for Joaquin, first one ever given under the new rules. Good, bad, or indifferent?
I find it ironic that the reason the rule was created was because of the person who won this week and his actions last year. So I find that kind of ironic that then it hits LIV. I think that it hitting LIV just makes it seem more like a punishment for LIV than it actually is. But to be honest, anyone really does it. That's what they said it was. So if you're playing in this, I think the penalty, it is what it is. It's just like being late to your tee box. I feel like we're just having these two-stroke random penalties in every major so far that are for something that is unrelated to golf.
Really quick. Filthy J Golf, what's up, dude? Thank you for watching on Instagram tonight. Bryson is doing for LIV what Rory was doing when this crap all happened to begin with.
100%.
Yes.
And I said that about Rory, that when he was trying to get the Grand Slam and all of this was going down, he wasn't playing well because he was focused on what the PGA needed to do next and all the pressure was on him. I agree. That is what is going on with Bryson now too. But if you need to get your mind in the right state, make sure you're checking out Bridgestone Golf and their line of B Tour golf balls and their kids Boom It line that with the mindset technology out there. Get your game in the right mindset with Bridgestone Mindsets. Best ball in the game.
I think we may have Dave, give me a thumbs up if you're good.
That works.
That works too. Thanks, Dave.
Whoa, now we're on the air.
I mean, the text message said jazz hands, Dave, if it was working, not that, but okay. Greg, early last week, news broke that LIV is now being funded by the PIF in the form of loans.
Yes.
For the remainder. As the money that was given to them early on was them funding it. Now they're giving loans to the tune of what we've all been led to believe in news articles is $600 million for the remainder of the year from their first payment that they gave them of $200 million. That funded
84.5% interest.
Yeah.
That funded 2.5. That funded 2 events. So that will fund England and
Indiana.
Trump Bedminster.
That's right. Yeah, that's true.
Bedminster.
That's right.
And you still have 2 remaining events plus player monies that have not been given. LIV is in the middle of making their push to try and secure funding in the form of $200 to $300 million for next year. My first question for you is, now they have to pay back $600 million.
Never seeing that money.
Chapter 11?
I mean, let's be...
well, here's the question, though. If that money is funded through their English corporation, they can't take that Chapter 11. So there's questions about where that money is funded through and where that money is being pushed through. And again, there's a shell game involved, but we'll save that for another date and time.
I think
laundry mats.
So what's your question, Steve?
My question for you is, it's a two-part question. One,
Okay.
Does LIV Indiana happen? Two, actually, it's like a three-part question.
Okay.
LIV 2027, if you are now investing in this, knowing that there's a $600 million loan that's out there, $1 million, go Austin Powers on it. And they're saying that they can be profitable with 300 million and they can run their business off of this. Can they survive? And again, we've asked the question on here before. Would you want to invest in that when you're already $600 million in the hole, if that's the way it goes? And then three, what does LIV 2027 look like?
Okay. So one, I think the rest of the year happens. I think that's what this is. I think it's just to give them enough money to get them through the rest of the year. And I don't say that's for paying contracts. I think that's for paying prize money and the courses to get them through those contracts. I think this is the PIF's way of saying, hey, we're going to give you a loan. I don't think it's a real loan. I think it's that they see the writing on the wall here and don't expect to get their money back unless it's successful. That's where the loan comes in of, hey, we promised you kind of this money. Now we backed out. So we're going to give you a loan. So if you are successful, we do want this back, and then you're on your own. So they're kind of not just leaving them high and dry. But I don't see that happening. I see this getting through this year, finishing LIV out, and then the off season comes around. And if they're really not getting that money, one of two things happens. It either takes a year off, which would cause it to come back as something completely different, or it folds completely. And I think that's where this goes from here. I think they're just trying to stay afloat. And that's what this loan is kind of doing, realizing that, hey, all of our money was pulled out. So we need something to get us through. So I don't think it's a real loan. I think it's just called a loan because they're hopeful.
Dave, I'm going to ask you this question to follow up on that. John Rahm, it's being reported, is waiting for either them to miss a paycheck or for this contract to be violated. Now, part of their contracts that they signed included the guaranteed money, but it also included minimum number of events and purses that they were going to play for over the course of the year, and there are 14 events. If they can't survive this, or if they come back in a 10-event format, are all of these contracts null and void, and do these guys have a pathway out now?
Oh, it doesn't matter. He's just going to miss the cut anyway.
No, he's good on LIV. He's fine on LIV.
Yeah, he's
not
fine
a
on LIV.
PGA or a major. It's not a major.
But here's in that's for people with much higher degrees and a lot more schooling than either of the three of us have to try and figure out. I think in the end there's some outs for Rahm. I think Bryson is committed to doing Bryson things, and I know I missed the first 20 minutes or whatever this conversation was. But I think with Rahm, I think he out of anybody that is there on the LIV Tour right now is very adamant. He took the bag of money, and I think he's having his regrets and wants to go back to the PGA and the DP World Tour.
Hold on, I want to answer a question. Oh, that was posed.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. So Bradley asked.
Bradley, I honestly think I might be playing in the event at this point just to keep LIV afloat, but I don't know.
If that happens, I'll be up to caddy. Okay.
So yeah, LIV, if you want to make this fun, let the golfing dads come play in this event just to make it fun for you. Steve's camera went off again. Our technical difficulties are just continuing tonight.
Yeah, I feel like.
But Bradley, I might go to it. I tried to go last year; it just didn't work out. I might go to it. I did hear that the event was such a fun success last year, and I thought it was one of the best events that LIV has had in the United States. It was one of the most successful events they had in the United States. It was a fun finish to watch. It was weird to see someone not win an event all year, but be the player of the year. So when we get into talking about the PGA in 2028, we're going to talk about that. But Yes, I might be going to it if it happens.
Okay. Do you know what is amazing?
What's amazing, Steve?
When you're in the middle of the fairway and you lock in your yardage with a Nikon CoolShot rangefinder, it's fast, accurate distance, slope technology, and crystal clear optics, so you can pick the right club with total confidence. Nikon CoolShot, see it, shoot it, stick it. Nikon CoolShot, the official rangefinder of the Golfing Dads and the LPGA Tour.
And you know where it really works well from those of us who don't understand what the middle of the fairway is? Finding your way out of the woods.
It does work well there.
I don't know what the middle of the fairway is.
Dave, have you seen the
Steve?
highlights from this morning's press conference?
I know there was a press conference. I've read the articles, some of them in between doing everything else today. I have questions. I know we all have questions. I think when it comes down to us getting into this topic here, the two of you are well more informed than I am. So I'm going to play the idiot
Par for the
here,
course. So let's get
also par for the course.
Let's get right into this. Let's talk about what the PGA is going to look like in the future here. We ready to go down this rabbit hole?
I have my bourbon.
All right. So the PGA Tour is now going to consist of two different levels at this point. You're going to have the Champions Series and the Challenger Series.
Championship Series.
Steve, what's that a nod to?
It's a nod to to Arnold Palmer, and those are the two courses that they have at Bay Hill. I almost said Greg Norman, and that was a real bad focus on there.
Wow.
And I haven't had that much to drink tonight. No, it's a nod to Mr. Palmer.
Bradley, I defer to you.
At Bay Hill, the 18-hole course that they play the tournament on is the championship course, and the 9-hole course that they also have there is the Challenger course.
All right, so you're probably asking yourself, what's the difference between these two? Well, I got that for you right here. The Championship Tour, the Champions Tour, Champions Series will be 23 to 24 events that will include the four majors. There'll be 130 players that are in this tour. Each event will have 120 of those players, so about 10 would sit out different events throughout of those 123 to 124. Or sorry, 23 to 24 events. At the end of the season, you will have a regular season champ.
Finally.
Which we've been talking about. So I think the PGA Tour is finally listening to the Golfing Dads. So go back and watch one of our old shows where we talk about this and say this is what we wanted to see was a regular season champ and then a playoff. Playoffs? We're talking playoffs? We are talking that now a match play playoff series that will take the Tour Championship out of Atlanta. It might still be there, but it'll rotate through and go to a bunch of different areas. And now there will be promotion and relegation, which is a European soccer, a big thing where you get promoted and relegated between these two. How does that happen? Well, the top 90 finishers on the regular season will go and stay on the Champions Tour. The championship series. Yep. The bottom 30 will go into what's called the Last Chance Series, which will include the 30 from the championships and 124 from the Challenger Tour. So you're going to have 154 players in this 4 to 6 event week that will be playing for those 30 spots. So they will play for the 30 spots that will get them into the next season for the Champions Series. Then the 90 players that made the cut and stay in the Champion Series, they will play in the fall international elevated events. That will be some international, some national events that'll be during a fall series that'll be added to this. So there's a whole bunch to unpack.
I 100% hope that the Australian Open is part of that.
Oh, that would be fantastic. The other thing that I did not realize,
hope that the Australian Open is part of that. Yeah.
That the Challenger Series will be made up of 144 players. So really, you're talking about 274 players that are in these two series, which is a lot of professional golfers, and gives a lot more exposure to some of the lesser golfers and a lot more exposure of the better, the cream that rises to the top. But of the 144 players, 20 of them will get promoted automatically the following year. And they will play 20 events during the season, 7 of which will overlap with champion series events. So that's the thing that I think is actually the most impressive. You have 23 to 24 events in the champion series, 20 events in the challenger series, and only 7 weeks will they overlap.
But also, champion level players cannot drop down to play a challenger event.
Oh, and that's true too. You're locked into where you are, which I think is good too.
Even if it is a course that is near and dear to your heart,
or a sponsor that's near and dear to your heart.
Sponsors exemptions are gone. That is another thing in this.
This sounds like more opportunities for golf media to be at events.
It does. It does. It sounds.
I'm just pointing that out.
So
I'm just saying. So you're saying there's a chance.
Like
so, I'm gonna. Steve, I'm gonna play the stupid guy here for a second. I'm really brilliant, but I play a dummy on TV. So, as an investor, as we've talked about investors with LIV Golf and everything like that, we have 23 to 24 events spanning February to August. So, much like LIV Golf, they are taking weeks off and not playing events.
So, it's 32.
Quiet. They're not playing events. So, you have no champion golf some weeks. If my math is mathing here. If you're going February through August, 23 to 24 events, there are some weeks that is not going to have a champions event, correct? On my math?
Yes, but then you're going to have the Challengers series that's out there.
Okay. As an investor, and you have these 23 to 24 events, and you don't have to show up for every event, and you have a $20 million purse, if your number 1 through 5, call it, Scotty, Rory, and everybody else, they can take those weeks off. You don't have an event. Your challenger events are only a $4 million purse. Yeah, I could get in on the bottom ground at $4 million, which is a lot better. But if you're shelling out that $20 million in for a champion level event that's 23 to 24 weeks and you're not getting the cream of the crop every week, why as an investor do I still want to be there?
So here's the thing, and what you're going to see, and this had been rumored for a while, 4 of those bye weeks are going to be weeks before majors. So you won't see them play the week before major. I do think coming back from the Open, they take another week off. I think the week before the Players, they give them a week off. So that's already 6 weeks that you're going to have off on if you're at 23 events. And I think you do a week off leading into the playoffs. You do a week off leading into the playoffs. So there's your 7 weeks off at 24 events. There's one other bye week in there. That's realistically all it comes down to is you get the week off coming back from Europe. You get the weeks before the majors. So there's a few of those weeks. Unless they do Scotland, and Scotland is one of the elevated events and the co-sanctioned events, and then you do the week before Scotland. So it actually works out halfway decently. The other question is, do you throw Waste Management is pretty much guaranteed to get one of these championship series events based on the atmosphere, based on what happens at Waste Management. With that being said, do you keep Waste Management the weekend of the Super Bowl, or do you give them, if you play the bye week, which is what everybody thinks is going to happen, where they play the week between the championship series and the Super Bowl, and that will probably be Pebble Beach or Genesis that week.
I want to
Do
answer
you
Dave's
see-
question here real quick.
Yeah.
Because he's asking about the investors and where they're going with this. And Dave, I really think you're going to see those high-end investors like AT&T, Waste Management, and those investors being those bigger investors for the
RBC.
champions.
RBC,
So
yeah.
RBC. I think you see them stick with that side of it. I think what you see is kind of what you see in the College Bowl series. You're going to have the Duke's Mayo Challenger Series event at something. Like I think you're going to see.
I'm not
some
saying
Duke's
that
Mayo.
more golf isn't a problem. The three of us sitting here, this is what we talk about. You know, I'm just hoping this Challenger Series for the casual golf fan that's just like, oh, Scotty's not playing right now, I'm going to turn this event off. You know, Rory's not here. It's the days of like Tiger. Well,
Dave,
Tiger's not in
Dave,
this one, I'm going to turn it off.
Dave, how many times have we talked on this show that when you go to Valspar, you go to Cognizant, and what a great event it is, and there's always a great storyline that comes out of those events. The golfers are going to watch. Again, are you asking the Challenger Series to grow the game of golf? And we all know my opinion.
Again, the golfers are going to watch, but in order to create money and revenue, you need the Don Holowickies of the world to go out there and tune into golf.
No, I get you. And I think that this, if you really want to get into this, you need that drama. You need that like intrigue about something. And I think that's what this relegation promotion will kind of help with here is I'm going to use Ricky Fowler right now as the example. Is if Ricky starts sliding back the way he is and he falls into the Challenger Tour, I want to see Ricky every week try to work back up to get on that tour. I also want to see that up and coming golfer. Who was the amateur that was in the leader on the first week from Oklahoma? I think is where at the U.S. Open.
Not Sam Stevens. Yeah, I know you're talking about. But even
Ryder Cohen. I want to see what he does maybe on the Challengers Tour to earn his way onto the Champions Tour and be that up and comer on there. I think it's going to create that drama and intrigue.
Yeah.
That is what I'm hoping. But it could fail.
And so am I. Yeah. But the PGA needs to do a better job of highlighting those players and those stories like we've talked about.
They need someone to sell those stories. I mean, this is a perfect segue into that. But that's what I think is a good opportunity here is that they're going to need that. They're going to need someone to talk about like how we have Ryan come on here and talk about the PGA Championship and how we talked with Goddard up after his Scottish win and we hope to be picked for the Ryder Cup, but unfortunately he wasn't. That those kind of stories are what I think they need to highlight and show more of, and they need to have that intrigue. And I think they need to get like an ESPN and Sports Center into these stories to buy in. And social media like ourselves.
The other thing that happens next year is the media rights deal is up at the end of next year. And everyone is afraid because we all know who the big dog is that controls. And Bradley said that earlier, by the way. Live golfers' entry to the PGA Tour starts on. Where
I agree.
You run into who controls the media rights for everybody out there, and it's the NFL media deal, and everybody knows it because that's where the most money goes. And then it's what does everybody have left in order to afford everybody else. And the NFL is expected to get a lot of money.
And where did the new CEO of the PGA Tour come from?
Now, I'm going to say this.
Where did he come from? Came from the NFL, where he's made this successful.
I'm going to say I wrote down this morning, things that I like and things that I don't like. And we've talked about a lot of things that I like. And I really like the idea of the fact that there's a chance that they will have Tour Championship going to places like Pine Valley, Seminole.
Everyone's talking about the Pine Valley thing. I don't think it's happening.
Oh, I think it is. I think it's ESPN's reporting it. I think it's great. Questions that I wrote down that I'm just not like, I I don't like that the championship series players can't play in lower tier events, especially from a sponsor standpoint, especially if they
I
have
do
a
like
sponsor.
that. Because I think the
And
sponsors are going to be up in there. I think their sponsors are going to be up in the championship. I don't think that's going to be a problem.
you now have run into what are 3 tiers with the Corn Ferry Tour. And what do you do with the Corn Ferry Tour at this point? Because a lot of these guys in the Challenger Series are going to come off. You're going to see more guys off the Corn Ferry Tour into the Challenger Series. So now what do you do with the Corn Ferry Tour?
So let me answer that.
Challengers-
I think the Corn Ferry Tour is going to get watered down, to be honest
Oh,
with you.
100%.
And I think, to Dave, go back to your question about the Challenger Tour and sponsorship. I think the Corn Ferry Tour is going to turn more into like an amateur tour. And if they do it correct, I think could be a good opportunity of building up into a developmental tour.
Yeah.
More than I think the Challenger Tour is now becoming the new Corn Ferry.
I think
Hooters,
I
Nike,
think
whatever
that
it's been
we've
over the
seen
years.
so many iterations of what the Corn Ferry Tour names, whether it was Nike or
Nike,
was it
Hooters.
Hooters at one time.
It was the Hooters Tour at one time. Let's
this
not
tour.
forget that.
I think the Corn Ferry Tour just kind of gets absorbed into this Challenger Series just with the number of players that we're talking about. You said 276 overall between the two tours.
Currently,
I think
on the PGA Tour, it's about 230 players. So you're only adding about 45 players at that point.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think it's right.
Oh.
It's going to be the way it's going to be some Corn Ferry players. It's going to change that dynamic,
Yeah.
but not as
I
drastically as it was.
I don't like the purse differential. I think the purse differential is too much between the Championship Series and the Challenger Series, with purses of $4 million in the Challenger Series. Like, you've got all this money and you had all this money come in and you're asking your sponsors to pony up money. I feel like that you need to get to like 7.5 million. Like, get me 7.5 million. Don't give me 4. Like, 4 to me, the winner's going to get 750,000 of that. There's not going to be a lot of money to go around. I do appreciate that they're doing the 2 wins on the Challenger Series, and you get a battlefield performance relegation up. I love that you can move up with 2 wins. The last question that I have is, now you're adding another layer where the Corn Ferry Tour barely gets any TV coverage to begin with. We all know that on TV. Champions Tour gets a bunch on the Golf Channel. The LPGA Tour is kind of and of no fault of theirs, but they're kind of I don't want to say that they're the overlooked redheaded stepchild when it comes to TV coverage. And now you're going to add 7 weeks where you've got the Challenger Series, the Championship Series, the Champions Tour, and possibly the LPGA Tour playing all in the same week. How does TV cover all of this and these other tours? Like, will the Champions Tour not play those 7 weeks? The weeks overlap because there just isn't enough TV trucks to go around and cover all this.
So let me ask you this.
Ocho.
That's true.
Right.
I'm gonna use Major League Baseball as the example. Major League Baseball plays way too many games in their season. Plus, you have yes, they do.
High five, Dave.
No, they don't.
They play way too many games. But they also have 3 levels of minor league baseball that get no TV coverage and are successful from a tour standpoint. Like, they're that developmental league, and I think that's kind of where this kind of goes. Is the Corn Ferry Tour becomes that minor league golf league, and I think it could change into something like that, where it doesn't get a lot of TV coverage now. It does get it from time to time. It's rare that you catch a minor league baseball game on TV. To be honest, the Savannah Bananas get more airtime than minor league baseball teams.
They do.
They also have a nice TV rights deal as well.
They do,
now too.
but they're also
They do.
different. It's a different league. But I think that it becomes more like that. I think it becomes more, you can watch this online. I think it's going to be intriguing to kind of watch it. I don't think you're going to get the casual golfers to watch there. I think the money is going to lessen there and go more towards the Challenger and Champions Tour, the Championship Tour, because I think that will be more. But I think that's going to turn the Corn Ferry into minor league baseball. I really do.
Yeah, and I think with the Challenger, I think you're right. You get, somebody like Ricky, sticks out because he is, Ricky Fowler. If he were to, to go down, or, somebody that's coming back. The thing we haven't talked about, and I know they've mentioned it, they don't know how they're going to deal with it, is what happens if something medical comes up.
They did talk about that.
No, they did. He did talk about that.
That's also one of the reasons it's 130 players and not 120 players. And
Right.
there will be chances for challenger players, like Steve said, that might have those 2 wins. They'll get to go up and play in the Champions event because of medical, but they're still working those kinks out. They don't have the answers yet.
Say week 2 of the season, Scotty tears his ACL and is done for the year.
Dude, I'm a Pacers fan, and you're going to bring up ACL tears and
yes,
out for a season right after what happened?
Yes, I am.
Wow.
Don't put that mojo out there.
Hey, Madden put the whole skyline of Chicago on the cover, and let's see what's happening there.
Indiana.
What do you do with somebody like that doesn't play for the whole year? Are you going to tell Scotty Scheffler, hey, sorry?
No, I'm going to tell you exactly what they do now, actually, on the tour.
The medical, I don't think the medical process changes.
For a year. So you keep your card, you stay on, you get that. I think that'll continue, is that if something happens.
Yeah.
I also think that if it's going to depend on how you've performed. If it's like at the beginning of the year, okay, we'll hold it till next year. But if you've gone like most of the year and it's at the end of the year, you might get relegated because you might have gotten relegated anyway. Yeah. So I think there's going to be that to kind of figure out. But like they said, they're trying to figure all that out.
Yeah.
Well, the other question you have is what do you do with like PGA Tour U and Ben James, who's played some great golf since coming out after college, and Jackson Koivin is going to be here to stay. He had a great U.S. Open. And he is turning pro next week. He's not playing this week. He's turning pro next week. I was surprised Hartford didn't give him an exemption into this.
Tied for the low am at the Open.
Yeah, tied for the low am. So what do you do with PGA Tour U? And do you put them on the championship series, or do you move them to the Challenger series? And where do they go? What happens with the exemptions and they run out next year? The agreement with the DP World Tour, where the top 10 guys come off of it, runs through next year, which is just in time for this 2028 thing. What do you do with the guys that come off of the DP World Tour, which could be interesting if LIV survives another year and then that exemption goes away? What do you do with that?
Q School. They're bringing back Q School as
now,
the
not
path
arguing
to the
that
Challenger
is
Tour.
Right.
After the last chance series. So I think that's part of this as well.
So I think you have this when you look at the things that are going to go on, and there's a lot of moving parts that all have to be hammered out. And there's the next time that we hear from Brian Rolapp officially will be at the Tour Championship. I think there's a lot of things a lot of questions that need to be answered. I'm intrigued. He kind of dodged a question today about the Tour Championship. And again, Coca-Cola is one of their biggest sponsors, and Atlanta has been great for them from a sponsorship standpoint over the last 18 years or something that the Tour Championship's been there. I think you see does Coca-Cola stay on sponsoring the Tour Championship if they're going to move it around, or do you need to find another sponsor for the Tour Championship? Because obviously,
I think Coke stays on as a sponsor. I don't think maybe it's the Tour Championship. That's where I think the sponsorships are going to move.
But here's the other question:
one thing are going to be different.
Are you going to move an event out of Atlanta? No, again, you've been trying to get to these major markets, and you've asked John Deere about moving to Chicago. There's talk about Boston. There's talk about New York. You're trying to get into these major markets that you're not in. They're going to have one of the signature events or the championship series events in Texas, whether it's Valero and Valero steps up, or it's probably the Byron Nelson in Dallas that steps up and becomes the championship series events. And so if you're trying to have all these events in these major market cities, what do you do then with Atlanta?
I think Atlanta still gets an event. I don't think they get the Tour Championship. I think they still get an event. let me remind you also, there's a certain golf tournament that's played just a little north of Atlanta every year. So the Georgia gets an event still. But I think that Atlanta might still get something, but I also don't think it might be a yearly thing. Like we said, the Tour Championship's going to rotate. I think that Eastlake could be in that rotation, but it will not be always Eastlake.
The other thing I look at with all of this, and you're trying to get into major markets. Major markets are major markets for a reason, because they already have so many sports teams there. Can the influx of a 4-day golf tournament, the stress on hotels and traffic and police force, you go to Boston and you try and do a tournament during Yankees Red Sox weekend, it doesn't work.
Unless you invite the Scottish.
Yeah, because the Scottish are just going to outdrink everybody. But they're major markets for a reason. I'm not arguing going to major markets. I think major markets are a key demographic. But they're major markets because they already have everything. And if you're trying to go on top, we know how much of a cluster Phoenix is when it's hosting the Super Bowl on top of everything. And you put, Greg said it, baseball's 162 game schedule. If you're doing a tournament in the Northeast, in Philly or New York or Boston, and there's other things going on, you throw in the World Cup, which is as fantastic as it's been, has caused disruptions across sports schedules all over the place.
Yep.
Can markets handle a 4-day influx of everybody coming, 140 some odd golfers? Now, not all of them are staying top level hotels, but there's Airbnbs and there's condos and there's hotels on top of everything else that's already going on in the city.
So I'm going to give you the answer from Indianapolis. Indianapolis is voted one of the best sports towns in America because we like hosting these large events here. And a shout out to Indy Sports Corp and for putting a lot of these events on, and all of them, from the Colts to the Pacers, to the Indy 11 to the Indianapolis Indians, and helping this infrastructure and Visit Indy, the CIB. They do a great job of this. But Indy has that infrastructure, and they built this city around that. They have hotels that are built around the convention center that have connecting and make it easy for going around. The NFL and fans have said they love the Super Bowl here, and it would be lovely to get it back here. We've hosted the Final Four. We hosted the COVID Final Four when every event was here. This infrastructure, the city needs to have it for sports. And I think they need to use that map if this is going to be a thing of where it is. But I also look at what we just talked about earlier, and Dave, you missed this part, about New York is a major market. And the last 2 times that we've had event there, the Ryder Cup and now a major, it has been terrible with the fans and everything like that. Is that what you really want? Or I like these venues like a Harbor Town. I like Hartford, even though it doesn't get a lot. I like that the players like it there. I like, Dave, you love going to the John Deere with Will every year, and we've played out there. That's a great infrastructure that they can have there. So as I said, Harbor Town is one that I love going to every year. It is something that needs to be discussed, and I think really looked at is, that market, I think you need to tap into those markets, but don't just focus on those markets by themselves.
Exactly.
Don't make it all about those markets.
India's gone through, so much to do this. The 3 of us living in Orlando, and I could think of a certain time we were at a basketball game and had trouble getting out of downtown.
I don't remember any trouble getting out of downtown. That was fun.
I don't remember any. We were in the back seat. We didn't have any trouble getting out of downtown.
We had a DD that was great.
And you look at some of these markets, these we'll call Boston an older city.
Yeah, exactly.
The infrastructure just isn't there to
now that the big
multiple
dig is
things.
Someone who grew up there, that didn't fix shit. Okay.
No, it didn't. I know. That was the joke.
I think the bigger problem that you have is that these major cities haven't also supported golf. Like when you think about it, Boston, Boston had an event. They didn't really support it. And so you had TPC Boston. Now, if you're going to tell me that they're going to the country club and they're going to play the composite course at the country club.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, again, I'm in on watching that, but like TPC Boston, like we've all played it on Tiger Woods Golf or whatever the EA Sports game is now. I don't know who's on the headline of it, but
It's just
like
It's just golf.
yeah,
Yeah.
PGA
It's
Tour,
in the game.
2K. Like when you think about this and you look at, again, I understand the PGA Tour wanting to use TPC facilities because they get them for free because they own them. But when you look at the bigger picture, sometimes they're not the best golf courses in the area, and some of them aren't easy to get to.
As a golfer, and you said this a second ago, Steve, I don't really care. I don't think going to like closer to a bigger city is the issue. I do like what they did with Bethpage and going to Bethpage, which is on Long Island, which is outside the city, which is and I like that if they went to Chicago, they played Nob Hill for a while, or Cog Hill for a while, but that has kind of gone away. They play Medina, and they play those big name courses that are in big cities.
Medina gets the President's Cup this year, doesn't it?
So that's what I think they need to go with.
Hey, Ollie.
Hey, Ollie.
Say hi.
You know, they've got Chicago Golf Club in Chicago is another great one that they can go and play. It's another historic golf course that I think is going to get into the mix as well. You get obviously Cypress Point coming into the mix and being able to take a smaller group out to Cypress Point, because the golf course at Cypress is hard as can be, but it's only like 6,800 yards from the back tee.
Okay, so let me ask you, Steve, let me ask you this question here. And I know we've discussed this before, but now that, we're doing it, majors are majors, and majors aside, because they're going to play at the best of the best. Is it better for the PGA to go out and play courses that are open that don't require a country club membership, like Seminole? Is it better for the game to go out and play courses that not necessarily everybody, because TPC Sawgrass, anybody can get on if you want to drop down $1,200, but not everybody can go play Seminole? Is it better for the PGA to go out and play courses that you can book a tee time at, rather than having to know a member to go out there?
I have an answer for this, Dave. So I want to ask Steve go first, then I want to answer that too.
I think being able to open your doors up and allow those of us, and let me continue talking because my camera sucks. Those of us that can't get onto these golf courses to have a chance to go out and see them and play these golf courses and get inside these gates at these golf courses, I think is a huge, huge bonus for whether it's the PGA Tour or anybody else. Courses like Seminole that don't open their doors to anybody is absolutely amazing to be out there and to be able to play on. I think that when you look at, there's another course in South Florida that I think Greg and I are going to actually have a chance to play here in a month and a half, possibly. I think the Park would be a great golf course to go and take one of these events to.
Steve, I kind of agree with you on this. You want to see the gladiators in the Coliseum. That's the way I look at this. Is you want to see them in the best arenas, and I'm going to say this: I don't want to see them at the local clubs that are more accessible, in a sense, because sometimes those courses, they're fun for the average golfer, and I think those courses are great for everybody else. And I think that, one, it might give it overexposure, and then they become a better course. So if they want to become a better course that's not as accessible, that's where I think that would lead to. Because look at Bethpage, and Bethpage has always been a popular course, but once it got, and it's a muni course, it's now even more difficult to get on. And so I think that takes away from that. I like the lore of, maybe I can't play that course, but like Steve said, I can watch someone play that course. Like, why do we want to go to Augusta every year and walk the course and watch the course? Because we know good and well, we're probably never going to get to play that course. We all have the hope. I all have the dream. Yeah. But in reality, we're probably never going to get to play.
We want those media credentials to come through and put them into the lottery.
And I'm going to say this. And Greg, and we've had conversations with your dad. Your dad's been lucky enough to play Pine Valley, right? Like
multiple times.
Those of us that'll never set foot on the grounds at Pine Valley, in a golf course that all three of us would love to play, Dave, I really want to watch you play Pine Valley.
I would like to watch me play golf, period, right now, but that's
fair. But I think when you look at like the Pine Valleys of the world that open their gates, I mean, it's so infrequent that Pine Valley says, "Come on in." Again, kind of like when you're at Augusta and you run into a member and you say, "Hey, thank you for allowing us to come through these doors and see how cool this is." I feel like giving the opportunity for spectators to get into these places is a bonus. Do I also think that, again, going back to the park, going back to places like the park, like when you look at Houston and the golf course they play in Houston at that they played the LPGA major on this year, the Chevron that they moved it to, Memorial Park in Houston, or when you look at some of these other historic golf courses, but like, could you go to Bandon? Like, think about that. Could Bandon be in the mix? Could you go to Chambers Bay? Like, there's so many cool courses that we all want to see, and I think it would be awesome.
So I think that I'm going to make one caveat to Dave, what we were talking about those public courses there. I want to see those historic courses that maybe have history back in the PGA in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. That, hey, sit back, buddy. That might have gone to the wayside and they're now like a public course and don't get the play that they used to get. I would love to see the PGA maybe invest in those, kind of the way like the park's been invested in, kind of the way the patch has been invested in by Augusta, and those courses rebuilt up back to their prime, and maybe they get an event there. Maybe it's on the Challenger Series, maybe it's on the Championship Series, depending on how long they make the course. But
yeah,
I'd like to see them invest the money back into the game to make the game more accessible for us instead of playing it more often and making it less accessible for us. Like, have an event there, build it back up.
You know, there's several courses out there that, you know, still go by the moniker hosted the U.S. Open in 1912.
Exactly.
And you go there and you look at
how
the
many
course
of the
and you
tee
go,
boxes at look at the tee boxes at Disney though. Look at the tee boxes at Disney. Every one of them has a story about the PGA Tour event being there. And what I love to see, and there's been talk, and I know Corn Ferry's they moved on from French Lake, which I think was a mistake, and they're moving to Virginia. But there's been talk that they may move the Corn Ferry Championship to Disney. And could you imagine if the Challenger Series ended at Disney on the Magnolia after the redesign, where you have this great golf course now, and it's where, or the relegation series comes here, where those guys, they're the last 30 off of the Championship Series play against the Challenger Series guys for their cards, and they do it at Disney, and that's where they hand their cards out.
Well, I think they need to bring back Disney. I loved when it was there before.
You take Hawaii, you take different parts of Hawaii away from everybody. Give them Disney. Let them take families there. You know, and it's always
that's
been
what Bay Hill's for.
You know,
that's what they're going to say. That's what Bay Hill. Here's the other thing. I don't think that Arnold Palmer Golf Management, who runs Disney Golf, wants another event because they run Bay Hill too. And I don't think they want another event in Orlando. And they make way too much money right now every day at Disney.
Yeah.
I mean, during peak season, they're getting PGA Show week, they're getting $250 a round.
I really think, though,
I'm aware. I'm there the week before.
But we're going to see more courses because now you're going to have, to be honest, 44 events that are out there. So you're going to see more courses, and there's going to be more exposure out there. So I think this could help a lot of courses as well. So, I mean, I'd really like to see that. So let me ask you guys this. We've talked about all of this and unfolded a lot here tonight. Do you think the PGA Tour is making the right moves and that this could be successful?
I think it's too early to tell yet. I think it's a step in the right direction, but I think it's going to be a little too early to tell on how this all plays out. It needs 3 to 5 years. It's not, oh, this didn't work year number one. It's like hiring a college football coach. You need time to develop and kind of let it sink in. And I think it's a 3 to 5 year process to see how this all works.
I am going to go back to what Lucas Glover said today when he got asked about it. And he said, I was around 20 years ago when they changed to the whole FedEx Cup playoffs format. And everybody screamed about that and said it wasn't going to work. And this change is necessary right now for the long term and longevity of the PGA Tour. I think the change, and I don't think they're done tweaking. I think the changes that they've made are good. I hope that they are open to hearing the feedback and hearing the things. And something we didn't discuss tonight, by the way, Greg, that was on the list and we skipped over was the death of the golf ball rollback. And I feel like the USGA finally decided to open their ears to what everybody else was saying, including on this show.
We've had too much time, too much stuff tonight that wasn't even
too much,
raising the surface of what we're going to talk about.
But I think that we need that if they're going to be open to feedback and they're going to be open to listening what their sponsors are telling them, I don't think these changes are bad. I think these changes are actually necessary. I think long term for this. Do I think you're still going to get Rory, who has skipped now 3 Signature Series events this year because he's not playing Hartford this week? Do I still think you're going to get that? You are. I think Rory's already home in England and getting settled in his new house, and you won't see Rory again until the Scottish Open. It's just my opinion. And I think Rory is set on, I'm going to go hang out with my family right now. Again, I won the Masters. What's it matter? So I'll sit in my house with my green jacket and chill out. But I also think that you're going to see long-term. I do think the long-term effect of this, I think there are going to be some things that we're all going to be surprised about. And I think there's going to be some players that get relegated at some point that we're going to be sitting on this show, scratching our head going, how did that guy get relegated? And that is going to be that is going to give, again, more conversation and more of us talking about this and pulling clips out and putting it on social media, talking about this thing. And again, no news is bad news when it comes to that, if you're the PGA Tour.
Well, and I think that today, when this got announced, and I looked at social media right afterwards, it blew up. Like, yeah. And to be honest, most of it I felt was positive. Dave, I agree with you. I think we do need time to let this marinate and happen and see how it goes over the next few years. I liked what Rolapp said about this is not a reaction to LIV. This is not a reaction to what's happening in golf right now. This is for the fans and being competitive in the global sports market. And I think that was the good way to look at it. So I do think this could be successful. Could it fail? 100%. But it might be successful, and I hope it is, because I do like that they kind of thought this through and didn't just jump to a conclusion on something right now. So,
hey, I want to give a quick I want to give a quick comment here. Rob Person, hey Rob, how are you? Thanks for watching tonight. They definitely need to adapt and change to grow viewership and draw in new golfers. Rob, I've said it before on this show, and I'll say it again. I don't think that the professional tours grow the game of golf and draw in new players. I think that programs like the First Tee and local golf courses and local professionals doing clinics do way more for that than the PGA Tour ever will. I think you get more golf fans at PGA Tour events than you do a golfer that's a kid who's not involved in golf. But I do think that you are right. Again, golf on TV, we all love watching it. But if you don't, and I can tell you my wife, bored, and doesn't want to watch it. She's like, really, we're watching golf again. I just think that the PGA Tour needs to figure that out. I do think that TGL is a good step in the right direction for that and for growing the game as far as a different venue. But I also think that the PGA Tour in doing this is trying to do the right thing and get all of these guys playing together. And once LIV goes the way of the dodo bird, then all these players figure out how to work their way back, we'll be in a much better spot.
Well, I also think that you talked about like the casual fans, both of you hit on this. I think for any real sport to grow and get better is you need to bring people along. Like I take my wife to some of these events. We walk around going to them. Helps grow it, helps you become a fan of it. She still doesn't watch golf, but she's a big sports fan, but she likes going to the events, and that helps grow the game too. My son, sitting right here, loves going to the events, loves playing golf. He's getting into it and loves watching it now. And I mean, when I was younger, I didn't like watching it. You like watching? Why do you like watching?
Should
Because I want
You want what? You want to play golf?
No.
And you want Scotty to win?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he has a fan that he roots for there. Like that's really what this is about.
I also want somebody to make
He always wants to see a hole in one too. But that's what it's about.
I think we should do one of these nights, by the way, is we should let Ollie, Luke, and Will host the podcast.
We should.
It'll probably be our most watched episode.
The golfing kids.
Brought to you by Upswing Golf. Golf
Speaking
clubs
of
for
Upswing
kids.
Golf,
Golfing boys. The
get
golf
your
boys.
young golfer started right with
Hold
Upswing
on.
Golf.
We're bringing
And their full lineup of kids clubs designed for proper fit, real performance, and serious fun. Upswing Golf, grow like a pro.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what else goes?
Upswing clubs.
You know what else goes really well with Upswing clubs?
I know I
Great
want
apparel from
somebody
Golfish Clothing.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say this is the most comfortable apparel that I wear all the time to work, to the course, and if you're going to the marina.
I'm rocking the water ball T-shirt that I got for when I went on my cruise earlier this year for Scarlet. And it was super comfortable. So
Over there, some over there.
You have it, and it's so comfortable. Check out. I
Bradley,
got the
you're
belt on
right.
now.
You are not right. I mean,
Yeah,
That is true. I mean, that's why he's here
if
tonight.
Rob
He's trying to
Person is
help us.
asking if we think they'll incorporate more events like the WM or keep it to just the cut loose tournament.
No,
I think WM stays what it is. It is a one and only.
Yeah, I think they have to do that. I don't think too many people would compare them to trying to be like LIV at that point. If they started more like that, keep the WM where it is. That's where it's good. I do like the Canadian Open and doing some little things like that with like the hockey arena. I think having more things like that would be fun. Just like
The
this guy has fun.
The Canadian Open to me is one of those weird events that do you make it a championship series event? Understanding, God, this camera's awful tonight.
Yeah, it is. Then you're back out.
I think if you're gonna have opens in your schedule, whether it's the Canadian, the Australian, the Mexican, the Scottish, they need to be elevated events, and you need people to go and play there.
Here's my problem with that. If there's no sponsors exemptions into the championship series events, the Canadian Open hosts like 20 Canadian PGA guys every year. So if you can't have those guys playing in it, you have to move it to the Challenger Series, which to me makes it a weird. It's why it's a weird event for me.
Well, it's also an open series, so I think like the U.S. Open, where you're going to have people that can qualify for it and different things, they might make exceptions for that. Like I said, they are still trying to work all of these details out. This is just the ground being laid for this, so there's more to come on this, and it's more for the game and the game growing. So I think that we got a lot to unfold. This is going to it's going to keep us in business for some time because we're going to have news to unfold and talk about here. So stick with us here on the Golfing Dads. Follow us online and let us know what you think. Let us know what you think is going to happen, what you want to see next, and what we should talk about next.
Deuces.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.